You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Three, two, welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Greg Hectus
Did I tell you I hate computers?
and Brad Wren.
Hey, everybody. Hope you dried out.
On today's show, we take a deep dive into the waters of Season 2 build and the Week 13 offerings. Find out how your computer might handle the new rain effects. What are the 5 dumb things that you should try in the rain? And is your spotter very presidential?
That's right, Mike. And remember that you can follow along with us on your PC or your mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all of the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting the show notes. We hope to see you there.
Right to topics. And we're going to start out with, is 2024 the year of the iRacer? Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, so I had a tweet or a post. One of these days, I'm going to get the verbiage right when it comes to X from iRacing back beginning of the month, noting that Byron wins the Daytona 500, and then Carruth gets his first truck win last week. Ederson finishes third, or his point finish in his F3 debut, and it said, of course, now all we need is the underdog Max Verstappen to get the win. Which we know that happened. But then there was a follow-up to add to those iRacers. Daniel Morad gets the Rolex 24 win, and then Govan with the Bathurst 12 win. And they ask, is 2024 the year of the iRacer?
Well, if Max wins, I guess you could say that. Well, I think the big story was Raja Carruth. He came up in an iRacing kind of background, inner city youth, but then, showed some talent and got a break to get into real cars and quickly fast-tracked. You think the fast track was part of the diversity stuff, they're trying to bring in other people, with the Rev Racing and so forth, and he got a break there and got into a real good car here with Spire Racing, so with a good sponsor with Hendrick Cars. So everything lined up perfect for him. I've never given him much credit, but kudos. I mean, he won a freaking race.
Yep.
Is it more of the fact that, is it the year of iRacing, or is it just finally we're coming to that point where it's kind of like in basketball? I kind of like here locally, we didn't, we only have one team in basketball, and when Vince Carter came, he changed the nation of kids who wanted to play basketball, and all those kids have finally gotten into the NBA, and we have no more Canadians in the NBA because of having that type of thing. Is it just where it was 2007, 2008 when this game and sim started coming together? Or are we just seeing a gestation of period now of all this stuff coming through because of the time that it's taken?
I think so, but I think the other thing that's probably, really added to this is just the change in racing in general. Whether it's NASCAR, F1, any of them, I mean, the entire industry has turned more to simulation when it comes to testing. So you've got, a platform like iRacing that's, now is it what the teams use for their official testing? No. But when it comes to learning tracks, muscle memory and all that, it's a great tool. And I mean, we see that there's lots of professional guys that use this strictly as a tool So I think again, we talked last week. I mean, can somebody go from sim racing to real racing? And I think yes. And I think Raja is even probably a better example than William Byron. William started, racing online, but then took the traditional path of getting in a car, early somewhat. I don't think Raj got into a car until he was like 17 or 18. So, I mean, literally a much better correlation between going from simulation to real racing.
Well, and
Sure is. Yeah.
like you said, there's not as much, like especially in NASCAR, there's not much practicing anymore, right? So whatever time you can get, they're spending on here.
Well, I mean, if you, I think it was a Keegan Leahy that does all of the simulation stuff for 2311. So, Keegan is in there working, doing all the sim times. That's what the engineers use now to set cars up. I mean, you come off the truck and it's because of the laps and the time you spent in the simulation. And if you don't roll off good, it's because of that. It's not like it used to be where you had 2 days of testing. You could go out and change shocks, springs, whatever you want to do if you didn't come off the truck right. So it's just such simulation heavy now. I just think the two go hand in hand.
Congratulations to him, and more to come. Hope he can stack them up. Let's jump into wow. iRacing is busy with season 2 content, videos, posts, and so forth. Let's get started, Greg, with the Super Formula Light.
Now, Mike, I know you're more open wheel centric with these lower tier ones. So there's a video here that's posted about the new Super Formula Light. It's kind of a cool looking, obviously smaller version of the Formula cars. Was it? Is this the one? No, this isn't the one that was included with the rain, right? Or is it?
No, no, I don't
Okay,
think so.
so
But
it's just a normal.
well,
It's
no,
just
it.
normal.
Well, wait a minute. It does come with the rain ready, so
Okay.
they threw that in last second, so you can race this new car in the rain. Yes.
Okay, all right. But it's a very nice looking car. Obviously, it's probably going to be added into the open wheel categories as a stepping stone to move on up in classes and just another road discipline to work with.
My ask of iRacing is educate us. I mean, I'm not familiar with the Japanese open wheel culture, what cars they use. How is this car different from the Super Formula? This is a Super Formula Light. What makes it light? Is it obviously less horsepower, but how much? And I don't think anyone really has any idea unless we go do our own research. But it'd be kind of nice if they kind of fed some of those facts to us so we know where is this car in the ranking.
Well, you can go into the thing and get on the bio and get a kind of a detail on it. I wish that when they push these kind of videos out, they would give you the um, horsepower and downforce, not downforce, but just certain little specs when they're kind of making these videos a little bit, just to try and, um, like you're saying, Mike, educate us.
Well, they would.
And tell
I
them
mean,
apart. I mean, they look
yeah,
the same.
yeah. I mean, they used to periodically you you would get almost like a book or whatever it was, a user guide for the cars that would kind of break that down some.
They stopped making those guides all of a sudden. We haven't seen very many of those guides come out again since they started adding more cars.
They do a video here of an in lap at one of the new tracks that came out, Misano World Circuit, Marco Simonoselli. That's a mouthful. Um, but man, it looks like a great car. Will I get into these? I don't know. Like I said, I'm still trying to visualize what is this open wheel ladder, and is it materializing now, and is this part of it?
Well, you run what, the FIA 4, Mike?
F4, yeah.
So how much of a difference is that between the super formula? That's what I don't know. I mean, I'm
Right.
excited with the split of the license, like we talked about, which would encourage me to maybe get into some of the open wheel stuff. I just don't really know where to go.
I feel like from the sounds of it, like just hearing the video, it sounds like this one is like a turbocharged version of motor. You can kind of hear the like a turbo in it. But I'm not sure. Forgive my ignorance towards it, but whereas the formula cars are just strict, naturally aspirated. Are they not, Mike?
I don't know, but at one point I had read or got the impression that the F3 was kind of being retired, and the Super Formula kind of slots into that where that car would be, the F3. All right, let's keep moving, Brad. We had more dirt content, and this time it was Millbridge.
Yeah, so they with the season two build, iRacing released the Millbridge Speedway. They had posted a video. I mean, well done video. Really pretty neat little short track. I think we talked a little bit about this last week. I think it's in Salisbury, North Carolina. So a lot of the NASCAR guys, families, the kids that are racing run here. So this was not free content, but the micro sprint, the wing and the unwinged version are what typically runs here. So um, again, the one thing with this build is almost everybody got a little something. Road got something, dirt got something, everybody got rain and whatnot. So it was kind of spread the wealth around quite a bit.
I feel like this track, when you look at it, is like your campground type track where like the families go, enjoy being around each other and having a bunch of time with your friends. But then it's a little tiny track that could be like in a campground, where the kids can play on.
Yeah, it's small.
Pretty cool. I haven't tried the micro sprint thing, dirt sprint. It looks like fun. I saw a video on Twitter of a guy doing wheelies and spinning wheelies, I guess you would call it, like Kyle Larson does when he wins. That's the Chili Bowl, and it looks like it's fun. I got to try that. Well, it's no longer hashtag soon. Rain is here, and we got a, pre-release video late last week with a pretty stunning video. This got us, kind of going at the mouth here, talking in the team. Wow, this looks pretty cool. Look at the reflections. We were talking about the graphically. How does it look? Man, it really is popping.
Yeah, it looks good. And I think those that have had a chance to try it realize how good it is.
What did we say? Everybody was hashtagging game changer or sim changer.
Well, I mean, let's talk now. I mean, I jumped into Tuesday night, two races at Le Mans in the Cadillac GTP, and both events I spun at the chicane before the start finish line like a fool, and ended up dead last because of that as we came to the green, but then made my way up to get two top fives basically. Uh, it was awesome. I was I was grinning the whole time, like as I would slip and catch the car, and I it was just a blast. I can't wait to try it tonight. Actually, after the recording, I'm gonna get back in it.
What's the next event? Is what, Sebring coming up, right? For the
Yeah.
So this is obviously enabled for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later. Yeah, I turned a few laps. They had the I guess it was the GT3s at the Nordschleife. Turned a few laps, I guess Tuesday night after getting everything updated. Yeah, it's preting neat. Yeah, I was sharing with David. Not super familiar with that track. So not I'm looking forward to being able to try it on a track that I'm very familiar with. To where I have a good idea of where I need to get offline in order to take advantage of the grip. So um, looking forward to next week when the IMSA series starts back up. And I was talking with David a little bit last night. My only fear with all of this is that it's going to get overused, and that's the one thing I hope it doesn't do. I really hope we just don't have weeks of rain like every single week. It doesn't rain that often in the real world, so I'd hate to think we're going to run a 12-week series and like 8 weeks will be rain of it. That's my only fear because it's new.
Well, the thing is the events, like an IMSA event's only 45 minutes, right? So if if it rained, you got a whole bunch of time periods. They're saying every server and every time period is different, so it's going to be kind of interesting to um, see how they incorporate, because you're probably going to have rain at some point in some server, especially how many times they're going during the week. It's just your luck of the draw, I guess.
Yeah, well, from what I've read, the forecast is the same for all week, but the chance of rain is always there, which is just an odd way of them saying that. That's all.
So, one thing I want to say too about when I ran it, the real gotcha was when you're trying to come up and overtake somebody in the rain and you get right near them, visibility goes to zero. And when I say zero, I'm not kidding. I have triples. I look left, I look right, I look center. It's all just water. There's no there's no visibility of the track. I don't know if I need to go left or right. I don't know if the guy I'm right behind is slowing down for the corner yet. And I'm about to plow into him. And you have this feeling like you hold your breath like, "Oh my God, I can't even function in this." And then you back out of it because it's crazy. And to get that feeling of zero visibility while you're trying to overtake somebody was pretty incredible. Dave Cam actually did a video today experiencing the same thing, and he was also blown away.
Yeah, I mean, you almost have to dip out and just run a little bit offset from them so that you try to get a little bit of visibility. I mean, think about if you're running down the interstate, you get it behind a truck, you're running 65 miles an hour, it's tractor trailer, you're behind him, you can't see anything. I mean, that's what it's like. So you almost need to kind of pop out a little bit, get a little bit to where you can get an idea of where you're at on the track. So again, it brings an entire different dimension to racing, and I think there are guys that in the real world excel at this, and there's going to be people that in the sim world that excel at this too. I don't think everybody's going to be able to grab onto this and be, super fast. It's going to take, a learning curve. And I just think some guys are going to get a hold of it much better.
Um, so back to communication. The next thing we saw from iRacing on Rain was what they call the iRacing ambassadors. And we have people like Matt Malone, Casey Kerwin, Tony Kanon, and others, Dan Suzuki, I believe, or no, it was Jimmy Broadbent. All have early access to the rain. Now, this is before the release came out Tuesday. This was, I think, Sunday or Monday or something. But they all, went to social media, put up videos, put up live streams with their viewers, so everyone could get a taste of this rain. I thought the idea, as far as from a communication to the members, was brilliant because it really put a lot of video out there from multiple users of this rain, and people are just eating it up.
Yeah, I think it was probably the smartest thing they've done in a while. Typically, we don't get a whole lot of early info other than stuff from iRacing. So it was good to see other people experiencing it, driving it. Um, that video, Tony Kanon, is talking that look, this is as he was floored. He's a guy who's done racing in the rain and understands what to do. I know we don't have a link to it here, but Daniel Morad has put out a couple of videos explaining just how real to life this is when it comes to in the game versus in the sim. Very, very little difference in the way that you attack it and that you approach the entire race.
Yeah, they got a lot of good press before the release even came out because of the iRacing ambassadors. So I really like that program, and seems to be working. All right, Justin, thanks for joining us. We're talking next the Tempest driving overview video.
So rain on iRacing. It will be
I put you on the spot, but that's we got to the next video is just that. They're talking about the Tempest weather system, um, and how that works. Um, Kind of an overview video where they discuss, drying track, that kind of thing.
That's the thing I haven't experienced yet, is the this drying and going through the transitions yet. That's the one thing that I'm looking forward to getting more time to do and figuring out, what's a drying track do? What does it do to the tires?
Yeah, I mean, if it's going to be like real life, as the track starts to dry, if you're still on slicks, you have to start looking for wet. I mean, you have to look for the wet line when it comes to that, because otherwise you burn the tires up. So I think that's what's going to be the key, is how do we handle the transition from both ways, whether it's wet to dry or dry to wet. There's a certain threshold in there where you can run a little bit of both. You just got to choose what you're going to do. I don't think we're going to get that really, in some of the shorter races. I think about them still 45 minutes. But I think the exciting part is going to be once we get to the endurance racing and a 12 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours. If we end up with rain, again, just brings an entire another dynamic into how we handle the race, how you manage your tires, and how you manage your stints in the entire race. So it's going to be exciting.
Now, the weather tab inside the sim itself is new, and Justin, we were looking at that in our oval race. Well, it wasn't going to rain, but we were looking at temps, so we were looking at air, wind. How strong is the wind, what direction. This is oval stuff that we actually pay attention to. Yeah, I don't hear you.
Yeah, you're lighting up, but we can't hear you. So yeah, we were talking last night, Mike. So it's the whole thing is, and iRacing was very clear about it. This wasn't just adding rain. This was a complete change to the entire weather system in the sim. So it's not just rain that's affected here. It's the entire weather system. So if it's oval, if it's dirt, it doesn't make a difference what series, what car, what class. It's the entire weather system has been completely changed to Tempest now.
Yeah, so that was kind of neat and we had to look at what time was the race. It was like 1 p.m. And because they give you temperatures and times throughout the day, and they actually highlight the one that you're on currently, so it's easy to read. But anyway, yeah, get used to looking at that weather tab when you jump into a race to see what's going on and get that little bit more information. The next video on this was GT3's at Sebring cockpit view in the rain, and this is really the video that shows you that zero visibility, um, at least when he's up behind a car. Now, once there's some space between them, you can see pretty well.
This is where you hope that when you get into these GT races and IMSA races, which is probably not going to happen, that these guys are, if you catch them from way back, that they kind of give you some room and get out of the way so you can get away from them faster. But I doubt that's going to happen.
This is still iRacing, right?
Well, that's the thing. You were talking about, we got to go offline and find more grip. It's a different way of thinking about iRacing as well, because you always taught to stay on the line, or in iRacing you want to stay on the line to get the fastest time, because they don't, the way that they've programmed it, there's not much grip on different areas of the track. So now that there's the rain, you now got to find your grip that where you've never driven before.
Yeah, you've got to run off the racing line. So that's the biggest thing to the biggest challenge is it's changing the way you think. If you have to you got to get off the racing line. That's only where grip is going to be.
This is going to be so much like for my racing style, with like the way I like the cup cars and how loose they are and stuff, doing some of the stuff. So running these GT3s on this, I can't wait till we ever actually get rain for the cup cars to do a road course. It's going to be awesome.
Right. Next up was a video put out by IMSA, actually, and it shows off their driver Antonio Garcia in his Corvette at the Sebring in a real cockpit lap time, from his real car, compared to a iRacing lap in the same car, and it's one of these side by side videos we see occasionally that really shows how much of a simulator this is. I mean, as you watch the video, you can sometimes find little differences. Like at one point, I see an overhead banner that I don't see in iRacing, a banner or a crossover or something. But otherwise, it's uncanny how identical it is.
Yeah, I mean, you see it from the bumpiness of the track. I mean, Sebring is very bumpy. Um, I know that going back to the rain thing, the video that Daniel Moorhead had posted, he's raced in the rain at Sebring, and as he said in the video, where the puddles are in real life is where the puddles are in the sim. And again, when you laser scan a track, you're getting all of the variations and the grooves and the pitch and every aspect of the track you're getting, and now you're really going to see that with the rain, because where stuff pools, is where it would pool in real life. So this was another, again, we've seen comparison videos, but again, I just think it continues to add to the authenticity of what iRacing is doing.
I think the Sebring is one of the older um, scan tracks in iRacing. I don't think it's been updated in a while.
They just put, I guess it was what, season one, they added the foliage to it to
But
update it.
I think it's been around for a long time. I think it's an old build.
Yeah, I think we got 3D curbs for Sebring this build too, which adds a whole nother layer of complexity.
Track's always one of my go-to road tracks because I just feel like I know it very well. All right, this is the big one that a lot of people were worried about. Will the rain affect your FPS, Greg?
So Dan Suzuki, which he was one of the ones that was one of the testers, the ambassadors, isn't he? Right, Mike?
I'm not sure if it was him or I was thinking of
Oh,
Broadbent
oh,
actually.
okay. Anyways, he posted on Twitter, X, whatever we want to call it, um, just a comparison of his frame rate with as a benchmark, I guess, at Daytona with 50 cars and an IMSA grid. He had a GPU. He had a 4090 and a CPU of the 1390K Intel. Um, so for comparison, with the different because even he did, I guess he does an AMD one too here for it, but in dry he was getting, averaging 130 frames in the race, and then in the race dry with the Intel compared to it, he was getting 109 frames or 119 frames. But then when it went to wet for the AMD, it went to about 94, and the race wet for the Intel was about 85. So they seem to lose the same about percentage wise between both CPU used in the test. I'm actually pretty good. That's pretty good. What they've done to optimize this with the rain, because I would be afraid when you're behind, like you were saying about looking at your triples, Mike, with all that spray. That spray's got to be a lot to just generate in general too, and what it consumes.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when I jumped in this week. I was expecting to take a hit, and really, I mean, yes, took a hit, but it wasn't undrivable. So very happy, and probably can still continue to do a little bit of tweaking to get it actually a little bit better. So I think everybody was better off than what we all thought.
27% um, is the number I came up with when I do the math. When the FPS went down 27% basically as he went from dry to wet. Now, like you said, they probably haven't optimized this, and there's probably a lot of growth there where they can really shrink that number.
Yeah, I mean, your biggest impact is reflections. So that's really where you're going to find, if you turn everything up, of course it's gonna bog the system down. um, but even running, I think I had mine on low, and the reflections were fine. I could see where the puddles were. I didn't have any issues. um, so I mean, again, it's, there's a trade-off. If you're on a single screen and you've got a nice big beefy GPU, I think you're going to be fine. For us guys running triples, I think you move to triples anyway. You're going to take a little bit of a hit on frames versus a single monitor. That's a given. So again, the fear was we were going to get in there and it was going to be like a slideshow, and then I didn't experience that at all.
Well, look, I run my FPS pretty low anyway. It's somewhere between 30 and 60 usually. And so I was really worried about it. Like, is it going to be undrivable? But I I didn't even notice, to be honest. I didn't look at my FPS when I was in the rain. It was working visually, so I went with it. So yeah, it worked out good. All right, I got this one. Porsche Esports update. We have a mid-season tournament, and Sebastian Jobs' winning streak in the Super Cup is broken. The championship leader, only finished the mid-season tournament in eighth. Victory and the 4,000 in prize money went to Alejandro Sanchez. Second, Luke McKeown. Third, Diogo Pinto. Fourth, Zach Campbell, and fifth, Alessandro Bico.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, there. You are.
Thank you.
Now, Sebastian Job still holds his point lead, 278 to 245 over Diego Pinto. All right, Brad, this is the video you mentioned before. Well, no, it isn't. It's Tony Kanaan, though, put out a video this week of his sim racing headquarters update. He's basically erecting a wall and doubling the amount of simulators.
Yeah, what a cool place to be able to hang out. So, yeah, again, great ambassador, I think, for the sport. Just continues to put back in. If you want to drool and look at what you'd like to have in your garage or in your sim headquarters, this is the video to watch. Very cool stuff.
I wonder what his headquarters is all about, because downtown Fort Wayne, where he's at, it's in Indianapolis. It's about 2 hours from me. I wonder if I could make a day out of it.
I think it's crazy. Like, even everything in it has his TK logo. Like, his logo is so nice. And then the green and the yellow.
Then my wife's Brazilian. I could talk to him in Portuguese.
See, there you go. There's your end.
Well, look, if he first had his sim racing office, and I think he had two, maybe three rigs in there. And then he got this garage, and he's been building this out, and he's got three of them in here, and then four of them, and then they ran the 24 hours together in the same room. And now he's basically saying he's gonna put up this little wall and put in another four so he can have more friends over. So, man, that's pretty cool.
Can you imagine the internet bandwidth that has to go out of that house if he has people over?
It's probably not as bad as you think. I mean, you think about what you can get in your house now. It's not that bad. I just think, and I probably said it before, for a guy that spent a career driving real cars and got to the point where he realized that he didn't want to do it anymore, or for whatever the reason was, he still has the competitive edge. And how does he cure that? By getting on iRacing. For us that can never get into a real car, it's as close as we'll get. And I just think it's such a testimony to what we all enjoy doing every single week.
Really nice setup. Okay, how about the next one, Justin? Ovals in the rain.
Yeah, it looks like LOS posted a video, and it looks like Auto Club, and it's got an oval car, and it's raining, and he's just kind of drifting around the corners. So, can you put rain on any track then?
No,
See,
it has to be a road course.
Okay.
Yeah, there seems to be some confusion here because I see it on a lot of ovals.
Well, look, isn't there a roval configuration at California, or no?
Yeah, that's isn't that where they shot the 24 hours of the Rolex 24 hours for Ferrari Ford versus Ferrari in California
Uh, yeah, they did. They did. And
on that road course?
I complained the whole movie.
Well, look, there was a bug too that they had to put a hot fix out, and I think maybe you could have finagled it a certain way on ovals before they fixed it. And this video might be one of those. Pretty cool. Shows what's possible. This guy's trying. He's in total drift mode. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, the next one. By trading paints, if the raindrops are gone, make sure you have these functions enabled. So they show a picture of the graphics, and they point out particles have to be on full res and shader quality on high detail.
Yeah, there was a bunch of complaining on the forums of guys saying, I don't have any raindrops on anything. So, again, in order to do that, you got to make sure your settings are right. It's kind of similar to when they, when back, Mike, if you remember back in the day when we got the first real, smoke update or whatever, if you didn't have it set to the right thing, you wouldn't see the new fancy smoke.
And then Michael Hinkle from staff posted that he confirms those settings, and he also said this will be corrected in a future patch. We intend all users to see raindrops, and no advantage should be gained by turning graphic settings down.
That's good to know. I wouldn't want to think I could be racing against somebody that can turn the rain off.
Yeah, that was a concern. So obviously he's confirming that they're going to fix that. Okay, Brad, next up was a video on that track I mentioned before, Misano World Circuit.
Yep. So continuing with the season 2 build, as iRacing always does, puts out some great videos. So we had some nice footage from the new track, Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. Again, just another great looking track from Italy, I believe. So it just continues to add to the European stuff is what they've been working on primarily.
Are we ever going to get multiple F1 cars so they can really do F1?
I think you need to get the rest of the tracks first.
Good luck on getting all the F1 cars to agree to give their blueprints of their car.
Yeah, that's the issue. You know what iRacing wants versus what EA or whoever does the F1 games wants. I'm sure it's completely different.
All right. Greg, how about this one? Shake-up time. Is it time to change the iRating system?
Well, the way my week's gone, is this why you gave it to me? I'd love to have not had any iRating system this week and last week.
I don't, as much as we complain about it, I don't know if there's any better way to do it than what it's done. I mean, you go into a split. iRating is it's a zero-sum game. I mean, there's a certain amount that can be split between everybody. It's what it is. I just don't know of any other way to make it better or worse.
I mean, I'm not totally against number 2 mandating qualifying. I mean, you can make that a thing.
Hold on, let's put this context. I never got to the point here. So Matthew Wise posted in the forums, he posted, as Mike said, is it time to shake up the ELO system known as iRating proposed? And then it goes, it's got 3 options: keep iRating in place, 2, mandate qualifying in order to in order to race, or create a race splits by qualifying times only. The qualifying time one isn't definitely a no because of the sandbag portion of it. That's not accurate. You're never gonna. But then again, there's the iRating portion was just is basically a general average of your racing ability. I look at it as.
Look, you're not going to sandbag the way it is now and be effective. So because the iRating is based on your finishes, and obviously everyone wants to finish well. So I think it's perfect the way it is. The whole thing about his idea of let's split by qualifying time instead of iRating, I don't like it. I mean, you got a Casey Kerwin sandbag on the qualifying, and he's in a low split, and he steals the win from a bunch of amateurs. How fair
Or
is that?
or what if it's like me, who I'm actually a really good qualifier. I set really fast times, and then I'm in splits that I probably have no business being in.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the whole purpose of iRating is to be able to put you in a group of cars that with like speed, like abilities, to where you can have a competitive race. That's the whole purpose. I don't want to get thrown into a 6,000 split when I'm 3,000. And at the same time, I don't want to get thrown into 1,000 split when I'm a 3,000. That's there's no fun in any of that. I want to be challenged, and it I get happy when I'm car number 37 in an NIS split because I know I'm going to have it's going to be a challenge to finish well. Um, that's I just don't know of any way that you could make it any better than what it is. Is it perfect? No, I don't think anything's perfect, but I think it's the best option we have right now.
Like I was saying before, it's if you race enough on here, it will average yourself out to where you should be at all times. Yeah, you're gonna get lucky for what maybe you go on a hot streak and you have top two or top three finishes for 10 or 15 races, and you kind of bloat your stat a bit, but you always end up back where you are. Like, I don't know, Mike, how many seasons have I started at 3,000 and every season it always comes back to by the end of the season I'm right at 3,000 again. It's up and down. I mean, I think David's always hovering around the same spot he's been in for the years he's been on here. There's
Oh
there's
yeah.
just it's just an average of what it is, and it's the only way you're going to be able to safely do it in here where um, you're racing the like-minded people or like skilled people of yourself, like it should be. Like, you're gonna have the people that are on their way up to be in 5,000 that are good, and they're gonna be like in the 5,000 or 6,000 or I rating, making their way through you, and they kind of win some races. But you're gonna be with the same group of guys that you race with probably all season. We say it all the time. Oh, he's in here. Oh, he's in here when we get into a race, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you see them year to year too. The same people in NIS year to year. Look, when I had that fluke week where I gained 1,000 I rating when I was in pursuit of my championship, I'm still self-correcting from that. Like, my I rating's going back down to where it should be. I was never meant to be that high, and sure enough, it's self-correcting. Justin, I might say the same for you. Your I rating went high when you won the Winter NIS, and it might be self-correcting now.
Yeah, I don't have an explanation. I don't like to make excuses, but yeah, I went from 4,100 into the 87 series to I just hit 2,900. I'm embarrassed. I mean, it sucks.
Well,
1,200. Wow.
yeah, but again, it's a function of what it is, and if that means it puts you with guys where you're competitive and you have the chance to win a race, that's what it's meant to do. Nothing's worse than getting in a race where there's low entrance, and you got one split, and you got guys from 1,500 to 6,000. It's not a fun race because you know that you're not gonna you're gonna finish wherever you're at. I mean, there's just no chance of you getting anything better.
Yeah, so it might work out for the best, Justin, this correction in your I rating, because then you might get some wins in these lower splits when you might not have when you were above 4K. All right, moving on to DJ EJ. He got a video out on the rain, and he calls it five dumb iRacing rain update tracks you need to try. So his first one was Mount Washington downhill in the Toyota 86. Now this looks like fun. It's definitely on my list to do, maybe tonight. Um, Looked like a blast trying to keep that thing on the track. Um, the second one was probably the funnest one. He did the Slinger figure eight. So There's a second figure eight. We have a Irwindale and now Slinger, and he was able to turn rain on that, and had an incredible race. It looked pretty fun as they were piling up and stuff. The third one was the scuba outer oval, um, and then the fourth he actually went back to Slinger and did the oval in the rain. And then finally, he tried SRX Daytona on oval. It wasn't in rain, but he threw that in there anyway at the end of the video because it looked like fun.
Yeah, definitely some entertainment value in most of that. So, the Mount Washington downhill is part of that dirt, Mike? I've never done it,
It is. There's a section in the middle that's dirt.
so I guess that would be mud, perhaps.
Wow, it's real. It was slick to begin with. I can't imagine in rain. So I have to try it. I know that they need to rescan it because apparently that dirt section did get paved last summer. Okay, Justin, how about a rude response?
Yeah, James from Gamer Muscle posted a screenshot of an email he received after comments made about iRacing's tire model, and it has a tweet from Gamer Muscle vid. This is a type of email you received for saying that the iRacing tire model is not realistic at the limit and lacking in specific ways. And and he's got a thing from James kind of describing all of that.
Yeah, this is not cool. Greg, I think you said when we talked about this in the chat that the police should be called.
Well, it's a threat. Like, it's like, what kind of human being do you have to be to waste your time on something that's not relevant, to put a death threat or a threat on someone's life for a piece of coding that's ones and zeros?
That's wild. I didn't catch up to it. That's crazy.
Keyboard heroes. Everybody's, 7 foot tall when they're behind their computer screen.
Yeah, I'm not going to read what he wrote because it's kind of tasteless, but it is a death threat. I mean, Greg's right. It is plain as day. And so it wasn't cool. The other thing that kind of is cringe factor here is this is one of our, sim video, content creators on YouTube that puts out stuff. One of many, and if he's getting this, I wonder if the other ones are getting it. And is this going to drive them away? You got bad apples in every group, but man, this is ridiculous. David Hall, you're here. What do you think about the death threat to Gamer Muscle?
Well, I literally just walked in the door and caught the end of it, but there's people with issues everywhere, and that person actually needs to be dealt with by local law enforcement, if not federal.
Well, David, welcome to the podcast, and you need to change clothes because you're making all of us look woefully underdressed tonight.
Yeah, I'm still in my tux.
Yeah, so anyway, that's not called for. Now, this one was pretty funny. We had some good laughs on this one. Brad, the Orange Man cometh.
Yeah, so we had a post on X from Trevor Perry. It says, confirmed as of 2 minutes ago, Donald Trump's spotter pack will be coming to iRacing in the new season. And then we had an update. I think they got put out today, Mike, from you. It sounds like the president is speaking as you're racing.
Yeah, he put up some sample videos of what it sounds like. He's actually got a real Trump spotter pack. He's going to make it available for download on his Discord. He'll publicize when it's officially ready. I don't think he has all the samples ready yet. So, do you want this? I mean, it's kind of fun. I'm probably going to try it.
I'm good.
I wonder when they're going to come out with the Biden spotter pack.
You couldn't trust anything he said.
Oh,
Come on, that was too easy.
What is he doing?
Oh,
What
it
is
sure
he doing?
was.
Is he just sleeping through the whole thing?
You might be clear. I'm not sure.
Look, it's an election year. You're going to get this on election years. It's a lot of for and against. But yeah, kudos to Trevor Perry. I thought it was pretty cool. Can't wait to see what the finished product looks like or sounds like. Now, one more thing, his screenshot he put on the video or on the tweet, I imagine he created that with AI or something, but it's got Donald J. Trump with a headset on, looking pretty savage, I guess is the look he's got.
I like the two images because it looks like one of them kind of reminds me of Le Mans in the background, but the other one's like it is a stock car in the other one. But it's like he probably typed in the AI Donald Trump with a headset on, screaming at a racing event or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
I'm in heaven.
Oh yeah, so if you scroll down, you can hear if you hit play on that video, you'll hear it. All right. David, how about you take the next one? Week 13 schedule is here, and then I'll let you take over directing.
All right. Yeah, the week 13 schedule was out, and it's almost old hat now because it's been around, right? I didn't try a lot of them just because I wanted to get time in on NIS practice. Plus, my voice is fried again. I was really sick this weekend. We had a GT3 challenge, shiny new shakedown, week dirt ridiculous, week funny forecast, and week 13 week wet and wild. That's the one I tried. I drove the GTP at Le Mans. Then you had a series of regular ranked series, and those first 5 that I mentioned were only once the rain was out. Then there were some more unranked series: Pickup Cup Carburetor, Little Wings, Figure Great with the GTEs. I should have seen that one. Tube Frame, Street Stocks, Ridiculousness was IRO5, SRX, and Legier. Muddy Mess, World of Outlaws, and Mud Skipping. And then there was a couple of Dirt Road series as well. And then Hill Climb and Porsche Experience Center was a time attack.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing the rain exclusive stuff this week, try to get my fill. As Brad alluded to, hopefully next week, we don't have this rain everywhere again because we don't need that in official. We want it to be realistic.
I really wish they could tie the forecast into not the odds of the climate of an area, but the weather that actual weekend when possible. I mean, a lot of the 12-week series are not lined up with a real life calendar, but
The series that are would be pretty neat. I think I said before. I mean, years ago when running it in our 2003 league, we always ran like the Monday after the cup race. So whatever the weather was, we would set the weather to be the same thing for the cup race. And it was always pretty neat to do that.
yeah, definitely be a good option for the leagues to do.
Yeah.
How did y'all's? Have y'all already gone in depth on your personal tries with the rain?
Yeah, we did. We all talked about the spray and you couldn't see anything, and yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I spent about the first half hour thinking, "Oh my god, this is impossible." I mean, it was definitely like a whole new world. I kept struggling at Le Mans with the first long right hander going into the long straight because I'd put just too much will in it and around it'd go, and I really had to learn it. And once I finally started to get the hang of it, I was like, okay, I might like this because I am a guy who's good at usually not going over the line, so to speak, right? Um, and I signed up for one race. I streamed it, and the one thing I wasn't prepared for was the spray because I qualified on the pole and it was already shaking. And by the time we got to the straight, one guy had gotten by me because I had a little wiggle, and I was right. I was basically drafting him, and there was no finding the brake marker, and I missed the next brake marker and went all the way to the back of the field and drove back up for second.
Do you call it drafting in the rain, or is it riding the wave?
It's impossible to see when you're right up on somebody.
I'm trying to imagine now what it has to be like. Think about the real life drivers, and they're probably going to need. They're probably going to gain some experience from this, because unless they were somebody who came over from sports cars, Coda in the rain was one of the first times they've run in the rain in a stock car.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the year, I guess, think it was with the first year with the Roval and the Xfinity race was in the rain, and it was, it was just a mess. So yeah, I mean, we talked quite a bit about that, and it's a challenge, but I mean, it's a challenge that the real world drivers in certain series have to deal with.
All right, for those of us running Sebring, we're definitely wondering if there's going to be a rain at Sebring, and that's what this next question is, Brad.
Yeah, so there was a video posted during Tony Kanon's stream that Greg has basically confirmed rain at Sebring. So if you watch the video, you can hear the uh, the talk back and forth, and then the forum post is where this came from. So again, I'm not opposed to stuff happening. I just don't want it to be so scripted to where every big event is going to have rain, because it's just not the way it works. I mean, not every Daytona 24 has, rain. Not every Sebring 12 hours has rain. It's just that's my only fear, David. You and I talked about it a little last night. That's my only fear with all of this, is it's going to become just monotonous.
Well, but it's okay for this Sebring to have rain. I just think with the timing of everything, we got the 24, the 12-hour race coming up. They just released rain. Yeah, it would make sense that they make it rain at this event. But like you said, going forward, let's have it be realistic. But yeah, this was one of Tony Kanon's stream earlier in the week. He had Greg West from staff on there talking about it as Tony was running. And he basically said, yeah, you'd be a fool to think it's not going to rain at Sebring in the 12 hours, is what he said.
That might be the first good chance to figure out what going from wet, if it starts dry, to wet back to dry is going to be like.
Yeah, there's not any week 13 events really that have a drying track kind of thing. I think we'll have to look to Hosted for something like that for this week.
I'm guessing, would it dry at the four, like when you do it four times the speed or whatever you can, when you set up a thing, would it dry four times fast, or is it only going to dry just a matter of cars going over top of it?
I bet you that's a question that's not been answered and needs to be asked to iRacing.
Yeah, I mean, I would, if it's realistic, it should be over as the cars go over top of it.
Unless the only thing I can see that would dry it up faster if it was like, say, nighttime, it rained and then it got into the daytime and the sun came out and it kind of dried it up a little bit more that way. But you still would have to get a distinguished dry line by cars going over it.
Well, I'm going to make a guess now based on how dirt works and how the heat model works in the track, right? The heat model, whether you're on 8x or 1x, is 1x on the track surface. And so that gives me credence that the track drying probably still goes at 1x. So, Greg, what did we see in Discord? This
I'm not familiar with this one, but it looks like, is it Denver Turgeon? Turgeon?
Turgeson.
He's a listener
Ferguson?
who sent this in.
Okay. Looked looked up Beckham Jassy here. I'm so bad at that. Anyways, he just hit 11K road IR. New number one in the U.S. and number four in the world. 15-year-old, and made his F4 debut 2 weeks ago with a P3 in Miami.
Yeah, so I checked this guy out. You know, our listener told us to take a look at his profile. I Googled his name. He's come up in carts, and you know, like you said, he's made his F4 debut with a podium at Miami. This kid's going somewhere. This is going to be a hot shoe for sure.
Would that be um, the Miami Homestead track that they would have been racing on?
No, then when the F1 was there, it was one of the support races.
Yeah, but F1 isn't in the States for a while for that. They wouldn't close the streets down for an F4 race.
Oh, I guess that maybe
It
I'm
must
wrong.
be
Then.
Homestead. Their road course on Homestead?
There is one. Yeah, you've never run it.
No, I've run it. I just think that's the only one I could think of, right?
So he's 15. I got his career stats on screen now. His winning percentage in road overall, 33%. He wins 33% of the races he enters. On oval, he wins 23% of the races he enters. And it looks like he runs Ferrari GT Challenge is what he's been running the last 10 races, and he's won 9 out of 10 of them. No, 9 out of 9 of them he won, and then he ran a Rookies Legend Cup and finished 13th.
He's got to bring those numbers up for the oval, man. A third? He's got to bring those numbers.
All right, so we'll keep our eye on this kid, Beckham Jakur.
Did you see this? How many starts he had there, Mike? Scroll down a sec. Was it over 1,000 already? In road? Yeah.
In road, yeah.
He's
300 poles.
He's only 15.
All right. Well, let's talk patch notes. Do we really need to go into much more detail on rain? It's a little hard for me to pass this around, missing half the show.
I don't think so. But let's look through the list and see what we didn't talk about. How about that?
So we had the road split. So sports car and then open wheel, split your license. And remember, whatever you had beginning of this week, that's what you'll be. So if you're at 2000 in road, you'll have 2000 sports car, 2000 open wheel. Then they had the launch of the race, the new racer onboarding. Again, it's a lot of time. iRacing has for those that are new to the service to kind of give you a full guide to helping you get through the whole onboarding system. You know, we talked before, it's kind of daunting sometimes when you jump on, you really don't know what to do or where to go.
So
Let's talk about that beta UI changes. I guess that's what I'm calling it, but it looks totally different. What do you guys think of the rebrand or the reskin of the interface?
I like it, but I'm struggling to find some stuff.
It's a little more leaned down. Like when you go to a racing, there's really one thing to select. When before, you could do 2 or 3 different views or ways to look at racing. Now you just hit, well, actually on the left, I think it has single player and multiplayer is the first breakdown. And then once you're in multiplayer, it's official racing, hosted, and league. Like it's really straightforward.
I saw that in some posts today that iRacing was taking some flack for not having the whole integrate, like the whole system done even into the inside the sim, with what they had posted in that their post about the new UI for in sim, which is, if you notice, it says it was just a temporary or a artist rendering. It wasn't actually what it was going to be yet. Right now, they're still working on the new UI for actual in sim.
Yeah, but
Shocking.
also having a connect to races interface that doesn't require you to load the whole sim infrastructure is more efficient, smarter. I don't want to have to completely load iRacing in a track every time I'm looking into what race I'm going to go into.
Mike, I almost noticed on this patch, this notes too, is they had new damage model on 19 vehicles, and then there was 11 new AI configurations for tracks. So that's a pretty big update for adding some more stuff on top of what they've done already.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the largest patches that we've gotten in quite a while.
So I want to talk about connectivity a little bit. There's a whole section here, and it basically, I'm going to paraphrase because it's so large, but if you have a connectivity issue, it basically says voice chat, it will drop, and it will try to keep you connected without voice. Uh, and then obviously it'll bring voice back if your connection stabilizes. That's the way I read this.
I don't know. I still want to know why I can get dropped, never fall out of Discord or anything else. Never lose connectivity in my house or anything, but get dropped from the server.
Because one of the routing points on the way is dropping packets.
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
They also finally gave a name to the pace car driver. He's known as Fred. So now we have Fred and Barney from the Flintstones.
That's right. Fred went to school. Hopefully, Fred drives better now.
Well, you always wondered if Fred was dead when he drives through the pace wall or pit wall.
Did you guys remember before they made the pace car where it was invisible or whatever, and it would come up through the field and just plow people?
Spotter has been updated for rain, and other stuff. You'll also see when you get an incident with a car, with car contact, it tells you the car number now. When it, puts it up in green on the screen. That's new. This is why I don't want to run a third party spotter because there's so many new spotter messages being added every build. Are the third party developers of those spotter packs keeping up? Because if I'm running a third party spotter pack and I'm not hearing all the calls that are available, I feel like I'm missing out.
I get the best of both worlds because I keep crew chief running and the regular spotter both on at the same time, and I run crew chief with a female spotter, and so it's kind of really easy to separate their voices and decide which one I need to listen to more.
I
So,
do the exact same thing. That's
so I mean, so you got two people telling you clear.
Yeah, I barely listen to the spotter though for that because I rely on JRT time, the JRT spotter a lot more. I know when I'm going to clear based on that.
I really like it for pit road that you get two call outs. So it just keeps your attention.
Well, I do the same thing, and I have the female voice in crew chief doing the spotting. So I got a male voice in iRacing, and I got a female voice from crew chief, and sometimes they call different things, and so I feel like it just gives you even more information. I like it actually. Um,
The crew chief's also really helpful in endurance racing, telling you where the wrecks are.
oh yeah, that's a nice feature too. The other control we noticed was there's a launch control under clutch now, where you can map a button to launch, and I think that's for setting a bite point and that kind of thing. I don't know. Is this in reaction to that the conspit pedals that have the launch feature?
No, I think it's just typically you had to do that outside. You do it in whatever your software
Well,
was for your wheel. Um,
not for all cars. the TCR already had a launch control built in
Yeah,
over a year ago.
but setting a buy point to where you could set that in iRacing. There was a secondary clutch I think that you could set, but you couldn't do anything as far as a bite point goes.
Yeah, you could on the TCR. You could.
Okay, in the TCR, but nothing else. I don't believe.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else in the build we want to mention here?
The dirt microcar. Did y'all cover a lot of that in the upper area?
Yeah, we did pretty much.
They didn't do any. They don't. They didn't seem to do anything to the cup cars.
No, I mean updated truck and the Xfinity as far as the contingency decals and stuff like that. But yeah, I was expecting an update on the Cup car, I really was. But maybe we'll get that mid-season. Maybe I don't know. I was hoping because we run into basically Phoenix short track, Bristol. We're going to the road course. You know, the next 3 races are all on the new package.
Now we also have a link for the hot patch that came out later. It fixed the critical issues where you couldn't transition from practice to race like normal in a rain ready car. And so there was an alert. They didn't take iRacing down over it, but there was an alert at the top of the UI that basically told you this. If you wanted to run one of those races, you'd have to basically not go into the practice and wait for the race server to launch and then jump into it. But apparently they fixed that in the hot patch. A couple other minor things, basically.
Well, moving on, we've got more season 2 content. I guess we haven't talked about Allgrave yet, have we, Justin?
Yeah, iRacing, and I'm glad you pronounced that for me, David. Uh, Showed off their new track, Algrave International Circuit, arrived on iRacing today, and they got a little video. I'm still getting into road racing. What kind of car is that they're driving?
Now, I mispronounced it just for the word. My dyslexia kicked in. It's actually Algarve.
LMP2,
Algarve.
LMP.
Would it be Algarve?
It might be.
Portimao.
It looks to me like this track has elevation up and down and that kind of thing.
It does. I can remember running this in R Factor 2. It was a great track. Looking forward to it.
It reminds me of like the baby brother of Barcelona. The way it's designed, it looks smaller, and then it's just got a lot of elevation changes.
Naive question: what country flag is that?
Portugal.
Portugal, yeah.
Yeah, you should recognize the Portimao. Well, there was somewhere else I saw where the accent looks like Brazilian. Actually, the MAO, that's a common vowel combination, diphthong in Portuguese, isn't it?
It is. I notice it now. I should have known.
And you said you had an ethnic wife, and you don't even know that?
Yeah. Heck, she's been here for 17 years, so she's more American than Brazilian now.
Well, Greg, what about the real deal?
Well, one of my favorite F1 drivers is, I guess Adam Stern posted this, but Aston Martin's F1 worked with, I don't know how to pronounce this. This is Momento, I guess, to offer a new $155,516 simulator for sale with a design that uses the team's actual CAD drawings. And it looks like Alonso's there signing it for him. It's
This is beautiful.
yeah. Just for a mere, $155,000.
So
just a single screen. Oh.
So for the audio listeners, what this looks like is an Aston Martin F1 car, and it cuts off at the behind the seat at the airbox. Everything from there back is gone, but from that point, from the airbox forward, the entire car is there except for the wheels and the wheel structure. But the monocoque and the front wing and the surround and the halo and all that is, it looks exactly like a Formula One car. Like it said, it came right from the CAD drawings.
Does it
Beautiful, beautiful.
does it come with its own step stool to get inside the car that the drivers use?
I don't know.
Can you imagine having Alonso signed, have it signed by Alonso? That makes it even more sweet.
Yeah, well, once you've spent $155,000.
Not going to spend the extra 100, huh? That'd be about the same as the people who bitch about the iRacing subscription.
Well, can I call the FOV police to where you have the Halo and you're looking through that, but yet it's still on the screen?
Well, and they're also playing the F1 game on it as well.
Well, the one thing I noticed, because you guys put this in chat, I think you guys were talking about it last pod. The angle of the screen, it's angled down, which it should be flat, I think.
Can't be good for the neck muscles looking up like that.
All right, Mike, remember how we were talking a few weeks ago how we didn't even know if the Podium 500 was running? And it turns out it did. And we've got an update about that.
We do. We've heard. I've heard from a couple different sources in social media this week that the Podium 500 has yet to pay out their awards, their cash awards to the winner and whoever else earned money. It's been over 3 weeks as of this post from Greg Thompson. He said the excuses from management of Podium are wearing thin. They've come up with just about every excuse, and now some of us are even wondering if they even have the money. Save your entry fee to this race next year, as they probably won't pay you out.
Is this why it didn't get covered as much as maybe this year was why? Because they're trying to keep it low key so it doesn't have backfire like they're getting right now?
Well, I don't think they would intentionally want to become irrelevant. More than likely, they couldn't afford to promote it.
We also have a link to Reddit where someone else posted that they have not paid out the prize payouts for the Podium 500, which took place February 11th.
I mean, I don't know. I don't remember what the type of fee it is to get into this, but they would have had like what 400 or 500 people that signed up probably because there was a lot of duels, right?
This is one of the reasons I don't get involved in pay racing. I just stay away from it with a 10-foot pole.
Or you certainly, almost kind of like we talk about with one of the hardware manufacturers, once your reputation is gone, it's probably not going to come back.
I don't think there's any example in motorsports world right now about reputation gone and never getting it back right now, David.
If you're trying to bring up Larson, that's not this. I'm not.
It's not Lars. It's not Larson. I was talking about Horner.
No, he's talking about Horner, Christian Horner.
Okay, I'm not up to date on whoever that is, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
You got to be the
That's
only
F1
one
stuff.
then. But anyways, that's good, David. Good on you for not being part of the problem.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Larson, and
Oh, that's
he just made a comeback from a mistake, not a business that turned around and screwed over a bunch of customers. So it's too bad Brian couldn't make it for this one. We've got an iRacing Off-Road Championship update. Why don't you take it, Brad?
Yep. So we had a post from staff member Chris Leone. Says the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series will be taking a sabbatical for the 2024 season. After reviewing a combination of factors, we determined to take the year off from our Off-Road Esports Series Championship in 2024. So they're not going to run that. The Positive Championship allows us to focus on pursuing a long-awaited new car and track opportunities in the dirt road license class. So it says they're exploring some new vehicles and making some changes. And then they also notes in addition work continues on the X Cross, which is a standalone game coming to Steam and whatnot. So um, no off-road season championship for 2024, but hopefully it looks like some better stuff may be coming in the future.
If you're one of these pros that runs this, I mean, it sure must be disappointing. But on the other hand, it almost feels like iRacing is spread too thin on all these championships. It's just like we can't even keep up talking about all of them. There's so many things going on. So
Well,
I'm fine with them taking a delay.
yeah. I mean, what we don't know is, I don't know. I mean, maybe whoever the real world counterpart is not doing something now too. So there's no telling.
Well, and if I remember right, last year these were self-funded, these championships by iRacing. I don't know if they had a sponsor. I think they were putting up the money and everything. So maybe that's part of it is they don't have the sponsor.
Well, I guess Justin, they'll have to get in somebody's ear to try to talk them into sponsoring, eh?
Yeah. Oh, I got you. Uh, leave us a review on your favorite podcast. Am I doing it right?
I just skipped to hardware. I'm not man.
Oh,
I'm exhausted, guys. I'm sorry. I scrolled down
Right,
to hardware, so we will cut this. This is live. I will just cut that whole transition out. I had scrolled all the way down and didn't realize I was in a completely different section.
I was like, shoot, do
All right.
we do sponsorship now? What?
No, we do need a sponsor though. So that's the first note for podcast housekeeping. If you want to sponsor us, hit us up.
Hang on, that
Second,
transition. Hang on, Mike. That transition won't make sense because I'm cutting all this out. So just start right on podcast housekeeping.
podcast housekeeping. If you're a sponsor and you want to sponsor our podcast, let us know. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform to make it easier for more listeners to find us. Mention the podcast to your fellow drivers so they don't miss out. We do appreciate it. Check us out in Discord. Get involved in the conversation. We got all kinds of discussions going on over there this week. It's been great. And then the show notes. We work real hard on that at iRacersLounge.com, where you can visually see what we're talking about. The best way to listen to a podcast is to look at the show notes while you're listening. We're in regular rotation on the Performance Motorsports Network. And don't forget iRacers Lounge merchandise available at iRacersLounge.shop.
All right, Brad. All right, Brad. Go ahead and give us a recap on fantasy.
Yep. So after the results from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, we've got iRacing Mason. Top was one with 250 points. The rest of the top 10 was Mike Wooju. We got Cletus 45. Go Trisco, two girls, one amigo, Res Dog, Mike Go Lightly, Pete Racing, and Jonas and Chris Bates rounds out the top 10s. And then overall, after 3 races, we've got Cletus 45 with 563 points, followed by iRacing Mason, Mike Go Lightly, Pete Racing, and then top 5 is for Canadian 508. So I don't think I see any of our normal guys on here, but no, it's been a challenge. I haven't done this in years, and I'm not doing too well, to be honest with you. I think I'm making good picks. And then something happens every race. So I'm not sure which direction I'm going to go with Phoenix yet. So, but you still got time to get in. You can go to NASCAR.com and then just search for iRacers Lounge podcast in the league and join.
Vegas. I mean, we had Larson, Reddick. Man, I think clean air ruled out there. I mean, the track position won it for him. In my opinion.
It's Vegas. It's Larson. Should we expect anything else?
Bell threw me for a loop. He had a good car, and he just kept that right rear.
I would be very nervous if Larson's in the final 8 when they get to that race in the fall.
Well, he won it last fall, so I mean that's already punched his ticket last fall. So again, Chevrolet knows what they've got. There was no unknowns for this year when it came to for the body, the car, and everything. So Fords did not perform as well as I thought they would. Toyotas looked good. I think Toyota knew they were going to be good. So it'll be interesting as we continue to go.
Did we talk about Raja?
We did. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he was a nice story this week. But let's talk Phoenix. Going into Phoenix, I mean, I wanted to say from muscle memory, Harvick. But no
Blaney.
Harvick. Blaney. What about Joey? I mean, Joey's won at Phoenix. Joey needs a turnaround so bad right now.
Yeah, and then everybody, even on I was listening to NASCAR podcast, they forget about Ross. Ross won it last year.
Right. That's a good point.
Joey's on one of his longest no-win in his careers. I saw that today. He's the second longest right now winless driver that has won.
Probably Brad's up there too. So, I mean, as we got towards the end of Vegas, the Fords had a little bit of speed. I don't know what the short track package is going to do. I heard a quote from, I think it was Priest, that said he felt like they were going to have a little more fall off and cars should be a little bit freer, put a little bit more in the driver's hands. I hope so. The short track package has struggled mightily with this car, and that's a product that needs to be good. And I hope that the changes are good. And I think somebody had put up, maybe it was you, Greg, had put up in the chat that Goodyear was coming with a different tire. I think a little bit thicker, supposed to hold heat a little bit more, maybe a little more fall off.
This is the thing we were trying to figure out too. Was there going to be an oval update for the short track package, and we didn't get that in iRacing yet.
Well, how would they have any data? They haven't even raced it on the real track yet, as far as the tire compound goes.
Yeah, but they also make tracks and cars in here, and then NASCAR builds them, so I'm sure they could figure it out.
Yeah, but when was this announced?
Well, the short track package was announced. They did the test right after Phoenix, so that's what I said. I was really shocked that we did not get an update, considering that we're into the stretch where it's short tracks and road courses, and that's the package that's running this weekend. Different diffuser, smaller spoiler, the underbody is a little bit different as well. So I don't know. From a fan's perspective, I hope it's better. I told you guys we got tickets to Martinsville. I hope I didn't waste a bunch of money.
I totally agree with you though, David. I was just being smart there. I think they're gonna fix it, or there's gonna be an update eventually for whatever. We have Martinsville coming up pretty quick, don't we? Probably.
Yeah. I was talking about the tire specifically, not the package. They probably should have had that done.
I think they will have it. I think this was kind of there was a focus, obviously, of what they were trying to get done in the build this week.
Did we ever land on somebody for Phoenix or no?
Do we ever agree in any of our chats?
And based on the standings, should anybody listen to us? There's a reason we're not on Dirty Mo Dough. Hey, Mike, who's in your ear?
Well, maybe Trump after that spotter pack, but we'll see. But John sent this one in. John found a video about DRE, which stands for Digital Race Engineer. It's a spotter package for iRacing, and their new version is live. Now, it's more than a spotter pack. It's more of a control your crew chief and that kind of thing with verbal commands is what Digital Race Engineer is. I used it back in the day. My problem with it is I couldn't remember the verbal commands that I needed to say in the heat of the moment that would actually translate into an action. I wouldn't say it right. Like 2 tires and a can of fuel, and I should have said a can of fuel and 2 tires. It's just those kind of things.
Yeah, crew chief's similar where you can make changes. You know, I remember back in the day, same thing, Mike, before I had a button box. That was what we tried to do to get around it. So Drape seems to be a pretty good program. I looked at that a while back and didn't mess with it. But I think it's a good option. It's very similar to crew chief.
It
I don't
costs
use the
money.
voice. I don't use the voice recognition that much because it's so inaccurate. Like one of the only commands I would try to still use if I had one teammate in the race, I would say track the 9 car, and it'd say okay, tracking the 5 car.
Reminds me of the first time they started putting GPS in cars, and you started putting the command out for where you wanted to go, and it could never understand where you were trying to get it to go.
All right, MPI tends to be a popular wheel brand, Justin. And next, we've got a post featuring some new MPI wheels.
Yeah, on Instagram, MPI shows off the new GT wheels, and they got 3 different options: a GTRA 330 and a GTRA 280 and 310, and they just look like simple wheels, no buttons. I need to get me one of these here in the near future if I keep doing these endurance races.
Yeah, these are some great looking wheels, and I was, looking at this post and trying to think about how do I, if I do this, how do I get a button? Because if you're going to get a GT3 wheel or GT wheel, you want to have some buttons on there. So I think the struggle is going to be for a sim guy. I mean, these are designed, of course, for real race cars, but how do you incorporate some sort of wheel button box to this?
Right. Like if you're an Ace Attack, you got a solution. They have some nice button boxes. There's others available. Turn Racing has a nice one that would work with these.
Isn't there
So there are
room
options.
isn't there room in front for a dash as well, basically on all of them? You could pretty much mount stuff right in the middle there.
Well, it's kind of like the adapter. I mean, I'm not trying to bring up there, but you could, Fanatec has adapters that go for it too, but I'm not trying to promote them, but they do have it where it would fit into that circle there, right?
Yeah, so MPI wheels are great. I mean, I have one for my oval wheel. I love the look of it, the red, white, and blue flag. I don't run any buttons on it though. I just try to keep it simple. Um, I don't know if I would pick an MPI wheel though for a GT wheel or a Formula style wheel. I just don't know if I would go there. I wanted it for the oval wheel because I wanted the same size the NASCAR drivers use and basically the same wheel they use.
Yeah, same way. That's what I've got. I mean, I do have a button box on mine, just a push to talk. Um, One of the ones that we had talked a few episodes ago. But yeah, love it.
So that we got a rig coming up next, and this is one of those rigs that you would buy if you really care about what it looks like on the outside.
The bobsled.
Yeah, Bobby
Got
Lamonte might
body
appreciate
panels.
it. Yeah, it's designed to look aerodynamic. It's got a red acrylic finish.
Wait.
It's got an ultra wide monitor, I guess, and that's about all
Got
you can see in the
motion
Instagram
built
post.
in.
Okay, motion built in.
What?
Yeah, it's actually D-box motion.
What? The first thing that actually came to mind. What is the thing those desert vehicles in Star Wars called that they run?
Pods.
Is it pods? Like it? No, but it's like the bounty hunter guy. I'm not really good with Star Wars, you can tell.
Well, if you're talking about the prequels, they had pod racers.
No, but it's like when they're in the forested area and they're riding the thing. Anyways, don't worry about it. I'm just
Oh, that's Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, that's Return of the Jedi. Those are called speeder bikes.
okay. That's what it reminds
They were
me
called
of.
they were called bikes, and they didn't have any fucking.
I am
names.
gonna get some serious hate mail right now from our listeners for that Star Wars.
Prequels to Empire Strikes. Oh my goodness, Return of the Jedi.
I am so gonna pay for that one.
So if Star Wars, if a Star Destroyer got into a battle with the Enterprise,
Easy.
So back to this rig, the M Sim Gara. I'm on their website. There's no price, so you know what that means. You have to contact them to get the price.
Which means it's cheap, right?
it means Danny Hamlin.
This is
can
high
afford
end.
it.
Yeah, we saw this at the Sim Racing Expo. Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, it's pretty to look at, but is it functional?
Well, this next thing is definitely a function. Brad, what is its function?
Yeah, so Sim Sport Gadget, they posted to Instagram about a new mounting option for the very popular Stream Deck. So, they've got multiple mounting options for them, depending on which Stream Deck you got. This one looks like it would mount. If you've got an 80/20 rig, would mount down kind of on your side rail where you'd have your shifters mounted. I bought a couple things from Sim Sport Gadget. Very good stuff. I mean, it's 3D printed, but quick delivery. Just gives you another option. If you got a Stream Deck, which they're really popular, just gives you some place to put it as opposed to sticking it up by a button box.
I was just gonna say, it's too bad that he's got it mounted to two lead weights from that don't work very often.
Stop it.
I like the Stream Decks that have the surround that are kind of in a button box. You insert them into a real button box, you get additional stuff. I'd probably try to go for something like that. But yes, I've bought stuff from this company before. I ended up getting the Philips Hue light stands or arms or whatever you want to call them that I have the lights actually mounted to up above my head. He makes those too. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, Etsy is, believe it or not, it's a great place to look for some of this stuff when it comes to some individuals selling stuff for sim racing.
All right, Justin, it didn't take long, but Camus is no longer just doing an entry level wheel.
Yeah, we have some reviews, David, from Sim Racing Corner and Boosted Media of the 12 Newton meter Camus direct drive wheel. And this thing's just lighting the world on fire. This thing's getting heck of a reviews.
It's freaking cool. I mean, it's 12 instead of 5 on the Newton meter, and the wheel is a nice round oval wheel, and it's a big size. And it's got a nice button box. It's got the shifters and everything. Boosted Media liked it. For the value. I mean, for that Newton meter, this is the cheapest DD under $600 now on the market.
It's just it's an odd design, the way that it's built. With the direct drive in the actual wheel itself.
Where's this brand from?
Hong Kong.
This is the Hong Kong one? Okay.
So
Would
this-
I buy this? No. The problem is the changing of the wheels. If you want an oval wheel versus a formula wheel, you want to go back and forth. This is not what you want.
Yeah, this is really good for people who want an entry level. Both options are. So, newsflash: next week, everybody's gonna have to show up in a suit.
I was getting ready to say, I'm kidding. John shows up and he's well dressed and we look like bums.
Unfortunately, someone's going to mistaken that, and it's going to be their birthday suit.
I think we got weddings and court covered.
As long as it's not Greg, we'll be okay.
These judges just don't let me wear sweats anymore.
All right.
I was in
John,
front of
you're
judges
just in
today as
time.
well. Should we just throw you into the fire, John? You got the notes up yet?
I got them up, and I'll tell you, if you've been looking for a bundle and you've had your eye on Acertech, this might be the time. They've got all their bundles on sale. The La Prima, Invicta, Forte. The Invicta bundle was $28.50. It's down to $23.44. I don't know if this means they're going to come out with new things down the road here pretty soon, but not a bad price because these are good products from what all the reviewers are saying.
Now, this isn't a sale. This is a permanent shift in pricing. My guess is they're not selling as many as they had hoped. I see a lot of ads from Acertech trying to sell me stuff too.
Yeah, you're right. That does say new prices, not sale prices. But and these guys when they first came out, I mean, everybody was just on fire about it, and I really don't know anybody that's got one of these yet.
No, I personally don't know anyone that has it. But look, if I was in the market, this would be a strong second to SemiCube. SemiCube or in Acertech. I would feel good about picking either one of those.
Doesn't Acertech do the Tony Kanon series?
They do. They have one, yeah.
And then, if I'm correct, Acertech uses SemiCube's software, right?
The intellectual property, but a early version of it, yes.
It seems like the people that have reviewed the direct drive bases have liked it, but I think maybe some of their pedals are getting beat up on, and maybe that's part of the issue here.
Yeah, we never heard a lot of great things about the pedal. I remember the heel, there was like a defect where your heel didn't fit well on where you're putting your foot the way it was designed, and I think that SimSports gadget guy made some kind of plastic piece to fit into that groove to help it. But you're right, we don't hear a lot about the pedals, so yeah.
All right, Mike, if you want color immersion, this next option might be for you.
Yeah, this will be the last one before results, but I was talking to Justin about this last night, trying to describe this during the race. I don't know if you guys picked up on it. Brad, you might have heard me. But I said, wouldn't you like to have an actual NASCAR caution light? And now you can actually buy one. Keith Sherman put on Twitter that he'd like to get one for his iRacing setup. And then sure enough, someone replied and actually found the product for sale where you can buy it.
Maybe a little over the top.
Especially if you're in the home when it's designed to be seen from a distance outside.
Now, I don't know how much it is. You have to contact one of their distributors.
They don't put the price up. What does that always mean?
Well, Wheeler is. I mean, yes, they make this, but they do, lights for police cars and ambulances and stuff like that. That's what they do for a business. So, yeah, I get your iFlag display and you'll be good, Mike.
But this would be like super bright. Can you imagine you're in a dark room and you have this up above your rig and
no, I
the
can't.
caution goes off?
I can't.
I'm trying to imagine how effective it would be with my VR.
Well, if it was bright and it was giving you a tan, you'd have a goggle tan.
So this is literally the light that hangs underneath the flag stand.
I don't think the UV or the wheeling lights are putting out UV. I don't think they're in the tanning bed business.
I don't think any of us are in the tanning bed business.
I imagine that
jump
puts
to
off so
results.
much heat.
All right, hit it, Mike. Let's talk results.
Yeah, so NASCAR iRacing Series Thursday fixed Las Vegas, John P14.
Yeah, this was a good clean race. I missed qualifying. I got in a little bit late and started 25th. Was working way up, got stuck behind slow cars, and I just couldn't find a way to get around them, to pass. So uh, it is what it is. P14 is not awful.
All right, Friday Open. I ran P14, no incident, was basically garbage all night. Ran between 20th and dead last. Somehow on the last restart, I brought it from 19th up to 14th. I'll take it.
I took a P8. Got turned early without a caution. Got the caution when I needed it though, and then I worked my way back up. And some miracle misses, which I kind of wish I had saved, allowed me to work my way back up to survive for an eighth place.
Chris Waldron, P7. Car was great, long run speed. Moved to the high line where the tires aged. 15th with 2 to go and finished 7th. Broke my personal IR record and broke to the 2,900 barrier. Brad, P8.
Yep, finally was able to put a whole race together at Vegas. Started P17, drove up to 12 early, got way too aggressive through 1 and 2, and about lost the car. Fell all the way back 26. The long run speed was really good with the car. Drove all the way back up to P13 before we hit green flag stops. It was nice to kind of have the race kind of run its course naturally, and then was able to grab a P8. Really had a good last probably 10-15 laps. A lot of battling, a lot of good intake. Really happy with the 1 of the 7th. Thought I was going to get it, but at the end of the day, it's nice to congratulate guys when they race you clean, and that makes an enjoyable race.
It's Sunday Open, P17. Ran pretty good, as high as 6. Had some confidence going, but the last half of the race I kept getting snappy loose and having to stab the brake and then lose all my track position. I suck. I just could not get a good finish at Las Vegas. Chris, P12. Car had a great long run speed, kept the nose in clean air, did my best to avoid the 21 car who got in the way of everyone. IR now at an all-time high of 2962. David wrecked out intentionally.
Yeah, I had an incident early in the race where I just got loose with the guy on the outside, or he was on the inside, I was on the outside, nose him, and so I figured he was out to get me at some point. And I showed y'all the replay. He drove right through me. I guess some people think that if they brake later than you, then they deserve the inside line when they were not there when you started your turn. And I mean, I came down to the inside line and entered the corner and was in the corner, and he just drove into me. And I sent it in, and he said, or I sent it in, and they said, we don't think this is intentional, which is a load of bull crap. And basically, the petition system philosophy seems to be now just be the first guy to push and screw somebody over. Don't be the guy who comes back to get them later. I think it's don't be the second guy. Seems to be the lesson I learned from that today.
Tony Rochette, P-wrecked, had a fast car, led laps, but had one of those everything is fine until it wasn't. Just lost it out of 2 and into the inside wall while in 4th with 29 to go. Brian Curry had high hopes for this one, coming off an A Open win this morning. Qualified pole, led the first 50-plus laps, but made some bad adjustments during pit stops, and I just lost it running top 5 at the time. Fixed some damage, but could only manage a P17. Greg, your computer died.
Yeah, I'll divulge that a little bit later on, more about that when we get into our final thoughts. But yeah, it wasn't a great week.
All right, and then I ran in Wednesday Open at Phoenix. I got ran over from behind on the fourth caution. Um, they had 12 seconds optional. Ran really good after that, as high as P2. Was running fourth with 4 to go, and got destroyed with it in a wreck, and then got a drive-through penalty because I was just below the 17. Got that 4X. That finished my race, and I got P23. David, P12.
Yep, let me pull this up. Yeah, I lost positions on a couple of the late restarts. One of them, I just got distracted right as it was coming to green and missed a shift, as in forgot to shift and hit the chip. And as soon as you do that, you're falling behind. Um, it was a sloppy caution fest, right? It's definitely bringing out all the people who don't know how to race in traffic and use racecraft and not try to grab every position they can on the first lap of every single run every time. They see the pros do it and they think we should do it too. We're not the pros, okay? Um, so that's what I'm saying is we're not the pros. We shouldn't be trying to do that because too many more mistakes happen. And if more people in the NIS, particularly at the short tracks, would drive like Mark Martin instead of a combination of Ross Chastain and I forget the guy's name now. Drove the six for a while. Ryan Newman. Um, if more people would drive more like Mark than Ryan, we'd have less of this.
All right, and then Brad, P10.
Yeah, kind of, just to kind of follow up with what David said, really was a race that felt like it was never going to end. Started P3, ran the top 5 or so, first 30 laps or so. Ended up getting into one again. Guys just being aggressive, three wide into turn 2, 1, whatever it is. I don't know what I can't keep up with Phoenix corners. Ended up with a bunch of damage, when lap down. But the good thing was the 17 cautions that we had, I was able to get my 4.5 minutes worth of damage fixed. Drove back to a P8, but on the green right checkered again. Guys just driving super hard. Got put in a position where I was really 3 wide. I didn't realize I was 3 wide. Ended up pushing up a little bit and turned a guy off of turn 2. Felt bad about it. Managed to get a P10, but again, just the level of driving last night was insane. I mean, 68 laps out of 136 under yellow. I mean, literally, we had 5 cautions back to back where we never completed a lap. I mean, literally, we take the green and they were either wrecking in the first corner or we were wrecking in the second corner. 5 laps in a row. It was absolutely ridiculous. So, going to run again Friday night, hopefully to be a little bit better, but I really don't have any hopes that it will.
Justin, you don't have a entry here, but I know you ran and it didn't work out.
No, the whole I've been having. I guess you want to call it a sophomore slump. I guess I haven't been putting up results. I've barely been seeing checkered flags, so finishing races. So I just need to push through it and figure something out.
All right, Tony Rochette, P16. Absolutely hate the dipping dogleg. Kept getting pounded from guys over driving the corners. Caught in a late wreck that had a guy clip Kyle, and hell ensued. Yeah, Kyle Pettygraph run. I don't remember what he finished. All right, and then Thursday Open. I ran. I had a pretty good, clean race going. I started in the back. I gradually worked my way forward. I was running fourth with a caution. When a caution came out with 27 to go to bunch us back up. Then it was a caution fest for the rest of the race from there. I kind of got screwed at the end on one of the last ones and ended up falling back to P10. But look, after Vegas and last night, man, I'm so happy to get a top 10 and get my season turned around. I need it to go the right way here. So thank God I finally got a finish. Let's talk other racing. I ran FIA F4 at the Ring. First lap, final corner. I'm coming around, and there's somebody just sitting there sideways on the track. Absolutely can't miss him. T-bone him. P22. Then I already mentioned the 13th week wet and wild at Le Mans. Spun coming to the green, was dead last in 23rd, got ran over at one point with 4 minutes of towing, and even after towing, brought it home P5 in my first ever rain race. Ran it again, was running P4 with 2 minutes to go, and I overcooked the corner and killed the car. Road to Pro, Chris Waldron, P17, was top 5 all race, took fuel only on tires 8 laps old. That was a mistake. Went from first to worst. Last caution helped me drive back up, 406th in points. Brad, be open. No, John, be open, P8.
Yeah, I got a P8. This was, I say there was too many cautions in this race. 25% of the race was under yellow, but I watched all of you guys at various points of your Phoenix race last night, and I was just dumbfounded by the stupidity in those races. I mean, you guys were getting taken out by you get rear-ended or somebody turning into people. It was nuts. So I guess 25% of my race being under caution was not bad compared to what you guys endured last night. But the cars were just all over the place, and so the last half of the race, all I could do was drive defensively to stay out of people's way. Probably had a top 5 car, but I finished in 11th 0x. So that's not too bad.
And then C.
Yeah, the first one I got a P21. I called this the smog race. There was this haze. I mean, you couldn't hardly see down the track because of this haze they had. I guess with California smog. This truck was a winning truck, but I kept losing the back end coming out of turn 2. I think I lost it 4 times. I was in the top 5 every time I did it and lost 15 spots each time. Cold tires were the problem. It was just dumb driving on my part. I mean, it was just me. I should have waited 5, 6, 7 laps to get the heat I needed, but I was just too impatient. It cost me big time. And then I had a P8 last night. Only one caution. Of course, I was in it. Some guy decided to turn up into me on the back straight, but I didn't give up. It didn't cause any damage to the truck. I was in 20th on the restart. Worked my way up at the end because most of the other guys were using up their tires. Probably could have got another 3 spots or so, but we had too many lappers that wanted to race me side by side, and I didn't have a chance to do any better than the P8. But hey, that's racing.
All right, let's jump to final thoughts. David Hall.
Always making me go first, eh? I do have actually a late breaking topic that I'm going to drop in here as a part of my final thoughts. Um, I was I just came across a new little pamphlet that iRacing had on the Facebook feed about driving in the wet, and one of the last things it says, and stop me if y'all covered this one or not, is how far in advance will I know if it'll rain? This is the one that was particularly unique, and it says the forecast will be the same throughout the race week. So that's good to know. That it's gonna. So if it's 100% chance of rain, it's going to be racing in the rain the whole week. You're not going to have to practice both for the dry and for the wet. Um, so there will be a unique weather. So if it's 50% chance, that's where you're going to see a mix. So it'll be the same forecast for the week essentially. I thought it was interesting to come across that la- late, and I'm sure we'll cover all of this next week if y'all didn't cover this one. Um, Other than that, it's a little too early because not everybody that has run uh, NIS this week, but I'm currently leading Division Two. So,
Ooh,
yeah. Um,
nice.
and I regret looking at it because I'm going to be obsessed with points racing all season. And it's going to make it no fun.
Well, look, you got out of Division One. Division Two's probably where you should be, and you're doing good in the points. So well done, Greg Hectus. Final thought.
Well, I've had an adventurous week. From last weekend, thinking that it was uh, a malware issue that was on my computer that was causing a problem. It turns out when I loaded up the other morning, the same issue came back again after I had redone a free fresh install and all that last week, and it ended up being that my CPU cooler was intermittently going bad, where it wasn't pumping whatever's in there. I don't know. I don't know if it's like mineral oil or whatever is inside those coolers, whatever the fluid is. But it was intermittently working. So got that changed out on the weekend and good to go now. But now if I can just get my own ass out of my own way, I could do it. And sounds like I'm probably going to have some hate mail in this episode. So if you want to file that, it's Mike Ellis at gmail.com.
Yeah, send that over here. Greg, one more thing you didn't mention, but last night
Let's
you
not
went
talk
to
about
start the
that.
race. No, I gotta say it. I mean, I saw your stream. It only lasted 3 minutes, and like you didn't even get to the start finish line, and you got wrecked.
Yeah, what happened? Because I was in that race with you, and I
I
went
don't-
back and watched the stream too, and I just couldn't figure out what happened.
I don't know what happened. That's the problem. I just am not even gonna go there. I'm just gonna plan my way to tomorrow night and Sunday morning, and hopefully it doesn't. I don't. The second wreck that I was involved in before I got around to the start finish line again, that guy was just being an idiot. But I don't know. I'm gonna leave it and chalk it up to I gotta be more attentive to start the race.
Watch that mirror, man. They'll run you over. All right, Brad, Ren, final thought.
A little concerned with NIS as bad as the racing was this week. I'm scared to death what Bristol's going to be like. And again, not being out of the sim for a few years, get a little discouraged because the racing I think was a little bit better 6 or 7 years ago. But again, we'll fight through it. Looking forward to getting the season 2 started out. Going to run IMSA and going to try to run a full 12-week schedule there and look for some good stuff. And just focus on NIS and uh, we'll see what happens. I hope the racing is not as bad as it was last night. 17 yellows was ridiculous.
Well, don't let it drag you down. Remember, someone's still winning this race, even though it was a bad race, and someone's still top 5 and they're still top 10, and let's go get it, even though the racing is crap. John Curley, final thought.
Yeah, it is crap. But, like I say, I watched you guys last night. And you guys are in some upper splits, and I was in disbelief over what I was watching. But, maybe iRacing will get that figured out. Week 13's going on. And, that's my dirt week. I always do dirt races week 13. And so I've been playing with those a little bit. Going to keep doing that. I'll do some NIS this weekend and just keep going.
All right, and Justin Pearson, final thought.
Kind of like I mentioned before, going through a little slump. I'm just trying to drive my way through it. I'll figure it out. I think I'm a little better in where I'm at right now, so I think I can gain some. And yeah, that's about it, guys.
Yeah, I mean, we talked last night about luck, and I just feel like your luck is waning. You used up all your luck in the winter NIS, and now you're paying for it. That's all.
I did. And then, kind of on a personal note, I don't have a job right now. It's by choice. Me and Napa kind of parted ways. I got a couple acres of farm ground, and my rental properties. I got enough. I can take care of them now. So, kind of been a new change this week.
Ooh. Nice. All right, my final thoughts. Wow, rain. I was permagrin. Permagrin is something I used to say back in the day when I smoked a certain something, but man, I was permagrin the whole time I was racing in that rain. Kudos to iRacing. I don't think they could have done it better. This week has gone pretty smooth considering um, the the amount of changes that they've gone through. So again, kudos to iRacing. The product came out really well with the rain, and look forward to running it some more. And with that, we'll see you on the track later. Okay, title ideas.
3.
I put it up there,
Oh,
so I got to say 3.
I don't have them up anymore. Mike, can you scroll down so I can see it?
So, Floss My Mind, Slippery When Wet, Wet and Wild.
Oh, no one did the iRacing, the art of racing in the rain from the movie.
I was gonna say only lasted 3 minutes. Was gonna be my quote.
Oh, come on.
All right, 3 it is. I think that's a good one. Wet and Wild.
All right, hit /stop on the server.